All right, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another London session live stream. And we're about 19-20 minutes in to London opening. This is a setup that I had shared on the Zoom stream yesterday. And although we closed out early here, but it did end up hitting TP. So that was that range. Again, we're going to go ahead and continue trading that range. So far, you can see the 1 hour EMA is down here, so it could push above that. And we also see a smaller range because this is about 25 pips, 26 pips. This range here as well is about 15, 16 pips. So I'm only going to be looking for that. Beyond that, I'm not sure if I'll hold on, but you can see a lot of EMAs here. So the 1 hour EMA is a good marker. And so I'll look for buys above it. But I am looking for a significant push below the EMA for me to consider the buys. Right, and let me go ahead and list that trade idea here. USDCAD buy stops at 135. Shall I do 320? I think I can. Yep. Let's do that. So 135, 320. Again, these are just the trade ideas that I set out first. And then I go ahead and enter. All right, when I will announce when I do enter the setup. But nothing right now. Again, I'm looking for just the smaller level. So I should probably label that level here because, again, there's a lot of EMAs at this level here. And it could shoot down from there. So I am going to, play it safe here and go for the 1-to-1. I think 13 pips is good. Even better, it's about 15. Okay, I'll go for 15. And yeah, let's go ahead and list the TP here. So TP is 135 35470 and all right, there we go. So that's the trade idea. Again, I'm looking for a strong push here. The fact that the price did reach here yesterday, right, you can see. So I certainly believe that USDCAD can push down here. And I believe past the 1 hour EMA, since it's about, 23 minutes into the hour. We still have a lot of time for the price to move, right? And I know the EMA is here. I don't think it'll be a quick rejection and a bounce back. I think since we do have time, it could continue pushing here, even meet these levels down here, right? So we'll see. And that's why, again, I'm not going to rush into this setup. And looking at the left here, it can certainly reach here. So I'm looking at price reaching at least 3.5, 4 pips below for me to consider entering the buy stops at the 135, 320 level, right? So somewhere over here. So if price doesn't get here, then I won't be considering the buy stops, right? If it does push right back up top, that's okay, but it doesn't follow my rules. And again, the way I've set my rules is try to limit the risk as much as possible. So because this would be increased risk if I do take the buys right now, and then we get a huge push here, since we have a lot of time left on the hour as well, and then it pulls back up top, right, I'll be stopped out by that time. So again, going to keep it safe here. Going to stick to my rules. And since the setup is not ready yet, as it has not pushed down, at least to this level where I can consider it, then I won't pursue the buy stops. Right, so we did have some GP news earlier, about an hour and a half ago. And this is pretty much USDCAD has just bounced in this range here, about 11, 12 pips, up and down, up and down, up and down. Right, so not much movement there. But that's okay because we're trading that same exact range that it has been bouncing off of, right? But for me, again, I'll have to have USDCAD push through to that level that I listed here for me to consider the buy stops. Have you heard about the crazy stuff about of funding pips? Absolutely, right? So I also passed a challenge for funding pips. It's my first time trying funding pips, 100K challenge, and lo and behold, you know, we get stopped out, right? So the trades automatically stopped, closed out, and then again we found out later on that they had an issue with, you know, Metacoats, right? The owners of MT4, MT5, and how they were serving, you know, brokers, but brokers were then serving prop firms, and you know, with the whole US SEC CFTC issue about having brokerages, unregulated brokerages, dealing with US clients, right? That didn't sit well with them, and I'm assuming they warned Metacoats, and Metacoats had, you know, to take action because again, even themselves, they weren't aware of what is going on with how prop firms are using, you know, Metacoats and MT4, MT5 through third-party brokers, and it was just a mess, right? And it's still a mess. And again, we may hear other prop firms go down as well because of that, and they may not be able to use MT4 and MT5. That's why they're on to, you know, other platforms. There's, you know, prominently a couple out there already. DX Trade. There's C Trader, of course, and there's other ones that are popping out as well. I believe Match Trader is one of them, which Funding Pips has mentioned they may go for, right? They may pursue along with C Trader and DX Trade. So let's see what happens. Again, there's no guarantee that the new platforms will have any safety as well, right? As long as you deal with US clients. And that's why, again, a lot of prop firms have removed US clients because, again, of regulations, you know, CFTC, the SEC, once they get involved, you know, you probably want to get out. FTMO got out a while ago. But again, there are some prop firms that are dealing with some brokerages, right, that are regulated. Or appear to be regulated. I'm not sure if they're regulated in the States, right? That's a big difference. And again, let's see what happens. But it's been a unbelievable, an unimaginable wave of, you know, prop firms shutting down for one reason or the other. And now the whole Metacoats issue is a whole different avenue, right? Some have mentioned that they're going for IPO, so they have to kind of remove any type of scam elements that they have, you know, maybe seen and so forth, right? Scams as in maybe prop firms that are, you know, benefiting off, you know, using, you know, funds through using their platforms and negatively impacting Metacoats as a whole, right? And so it's a dangerous kind of avenue, right? Because again, we don't know if there's more harm overall that's been done, right? Because again, there are some prop firms that are or that have scammed and have used, you know, Metacoats in the wrong way, right? Have used these third-party brokers and misrepresented them. And again, the effect, as we see, the big guys are going to be affected, right? Yeah, so let's see again. Let's see what they do. But right now, again, they're probably figuring out a new platform, number one. And number two, which broker to align with. Should I execute the trade at 135.320? So again, I mentioned I will announce when I do enter. It's up to you how you want to enter. If you know the strategy and system, then for sure. But I mean, if you're following the rules of the system, then this is not an entry yet, right? So I will announce when I do enter, but nothing yet. Again, it's just a new half-an-hour candle, and I certainly see it pushing down, right? Certainly see it pushing down past this level that I've drawn up here for me to consider the buy stops. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens there. I have a 5%ers prop. I guess challenge, you mean? Should be one of the best after FTMO. Yeah, FTMO is definitely top of the line, right? FTMO already understood that this is coming, right? So they long ago, about a month and a half, or it's over a month now, that they banned U.S. clients. So they didn't want to even, get into that mess. They also had already partnered up with DX Trades, or DX Trade, as they call it. So they already had that going since last year. So I think they definitely have, a regulation team, or someone, a team that definitely deals with, these ongoing issues, and somebody who's up, or a team that's at least to some degree knowledgeable about what's going on in this avenue, in this world, and how lawsuits come about before they even, mentioned in the public. And so they definitely have a team that, definitely lets them know and is aware of all the things going on. And they may even have communications with the SEC, who knows? But they're definitely a step ahead, right? Definitely a step ahead, or two, in front of, all the other prop firms. And of course, I can only imagine how extensive their legal team is. And, what a critical decision that they had to make with removing U.S. clients, right? I think we're all aware that the highest percentage in terms of market share is the U.S., right? There's no doubt about that. And so, and again, I'm not saying this, but from what I'm hearing and from what I'm seeing, a lot of different things being represented and presented, some prop firms can't function, right, in terms of revenue, in terms of operations, without the U.S. market, right? So they're heavily reliant on the U.S. market for them to continue their operations. So maybe some of these prop firms, that's why they're not leaving the U.S. market right now, because they're heavily reliant on them. And so it may be a rug pull, some of them, as soon as they have to let it go, as soon as Metacoats, let's say, bans that third-party broker that they're using, and that platform is gone, then we may see a whole new mess. And I think there's a whole disaster coming, right? Because there's no chance that Funding Pips loses the MT5 or MT4 platform, and other prop firms are not affected. There's no chance of that. So it's a very big mess, and it's unfortunate because this was definitely a pathway for a lot of traders to level up and scale up and increase their capital, as opposed to their personal funds, which was the way to do it back in the day, about 4 or 5 years ago. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a whole mess. As one thing is, Metacoats removing licenses for brokers and prop firms. The other issue is that there's prop firms out there that many, have a challenge with, and if the U.S. market is removed, then they may go down and they may just disappear, right? So all the traders that have a challenge with that prop firm, may lose their money. So what I would advise right now is only go with prop firms that are non-U.S. based and have mentioned that they're not taking U.S. clients, right? It's unfortunate because some of you guys may be from the U.S. It's very unfortunate, right? I'm not from the U.S., but I'm from Canada, and Canada's a close second, right? So if U.S. is doing this month, Canada might be next month. So can't do much about that. I do believe there's going to be, certain prop firms that still continue, right? Somebody's going to figure out a way. I also believe that a lot of these so-called scam prop firms are going to go away to a certain degree. But the ones that actually have revenue coming in from other sources and have actually worked on a, considerable legal team to deal with, different regulations and different securities commissions across different countries, especially Canada, USA, UK, and so forth. They're the ones who may survive because they're able to put those funds to work on the legal end of things, and they may figure out a way, right? FTMO, I'm pretty sure, is trying to figure out a way, but right now they know that it may be a whitewash, right, across the whole industry, and they want to stay away from that as to not be affected. Okay, can you give me some tips of what to learn as a beginner for day trading? So again, there's a lot of different strategies out there, right? The first thing is, and I mentioned to every viewer ongoing, right? So first thing is the way you can learn, right? A shortcut is because there's so many traders out there that live stream for free on YouTube. You can scope the web, even YouTube, and find a trader that you may maybe find from other sources, other, let's say, Instagram or Telegram, or even YouTube long format content. You find somebody that live streams, look at them. If you understand the system, if you feel that it's something that's a winning system, right, through actually taking the setups, you can take it on a demo account, on a free trial account, and over time, maybe a week or 2 weeks, and see if it's working for you, see if it makes sense for you, see if the trader is explaining the setup in full, right, is taking the setups, is showing you when they take the setups, is showing you how to manage the trade effectively during the stream. And if it's a winning setup, right, and you're winning, right, more so than losing, because I'm pretty sure, again, the streamers that are on YouTube, right, the traders, they're finding smaller setups, right? If in the smaller setups, if they're not winning most of the time, then maybe that's something that's not fitting for you, right? But that's your kind of avenue to come in, find a trader that streams on YouTube for free, and maybe take those setups on a free trial or demo account until you feel confident, right? If you don't feel confident with that system or the setups that they're taking, then maybe you can move on to another trader that trades on YouTube for free. Once you get into that mode and you figure out the system a little bit better, right, by attending the streams regularly, right? So consistency is a factor. Being disciplined, coming on time, and taking the setups during that session, right? The exact session that the streamer trades during, and taking those setups. And if you see that there's consistency there, right, with the winning rate, with the explanations, with the markups, then maybe you can see if you want to take a second step, and if you're more interested in a deeper analysis of the strategy and any other offerings that they have, right? But if you're looking at the strategy that I'm presenting here, again, it's a range strategy. So looking at touches, top and bottom, right? So top and bottom, look at this. You could see it is a part of a larger range. So there's a range within range trade here. You can see it's not equal movements here. I can move this level up and it will be equal movements, but I'm looking at just taking a smaller level here. And you can see EMAs. EMAs can be used for rejections, right? Reversals. They can also be used for targets for, let's say a stop loss or a TP, right? Profit target. But I'm looking at this level here. There may be a pull here. It may be a slight breach, right? Because again, it is a level that has been crossed but respected, right, with the wick a few times over, right? And then if I can get that push, I'm looking for buy stops and respecting this range here, right? So one thing is trading the range, and And the other thing is understanding how price moves when it's at the top or bottom end of the range. And that way, you can set some rules, right, which I've done over the course of 4 or 5 years, and whatever works better, right, iterating some of those things in my system, understanding what the EMAs can be used for, higher time frame, lower time frame, and over time I've gained enough experience to understand certain ranges that do work, right, and how to find ranges within ranges and the ones that are active, right? So if it's an active setup here, or if it's an active range, I'm over time I've been able to be recognize it in a much more clearer view, and that's why I'm able to kind of set buy stops or sell stops pretty quickly. But that wasn't always the case, right? So that does take time. Again, a lot of chart experience is necessary as well, and you put a lot of those factors together, and you may have yourself a clear system with a clear way of executing, exiting, and also managing the trade actively, right? So active trade management is key, especially in a 1-to-1 scenario as well, right? It's not always in a 1-to-2, 1-to-3, and setting and forgetting about it. No. And especially if you're working on a challenge, daily setups can be helpful as well, right? Especially if the winning rate is up. All right, we'll see. Alrighty. Why all this stuff? U.S. clients ban. Well, again, there could be a multitude of reasons, right? So the regulations, CFTC or the SEC, it's a couple of things, right? Because they're not benefiting. So a prop firm that's located, let's say, outside of the U.S., right, is making money off U.S. clients, but the prop firm is not paying any tax. That kind of lent over to the U.S. government, right, in any type of way. So pretty much these outside prop firms are benefiting from U.S. residents or U.S. citizens without the government benefiting, right? So it's definitely a money game. And so that's one reason for sure. The second reason would be a potential legitimate one where a lot of U.S. clients are complaining to their credit card companies, or to, let's say, PayPal, or they're kind of just if they, again, whether it's legitimate ways or not, right, whether it's actually a legitimate reason or not, let's say if they fail a challenge and they complain, and they get charged back, right, and they get the the funds back if they use the credit card, that does affect it over time, right, because it's the number of complainants. So I do remember that Stripe started banning prop firms because it was high risk, right? A lot of refunds, and sometimes, again, Stripe doesn't play a part, but the credit card companies will fight for the client, right? So for, let's say, the trader, they'll fight for the trader, and eventually they'll get the refunds back. And sometimes they won't, right? Because some clients pay in crypto and in other avenues, and that's where you'll get a increased amount of complaints as well. Again, whether it's legitimate reasons or not, if there's a payout denial, or if there's some issue with the prop firm, in any capacity, right, in any phase of the challenges, or even the funded account, if there's a legitimate reason, there could be a complaint, right, to the SEC, to the CFTC. And if there's a non-legitimate reason, whether they lost a challenge and they still want their money back because they're able to get it back, right? Both of those things add up over time, And then you'll see that the CFTC has to do something to protect, their clients or their residents, right, and U.S. citizens and so forth. So it's a protection measure on one end through legitimate reasons from traders and non-legitimate reasons. And at the same time, they want a piece of the pie, right? So if prop firms are making money from U.S. clients, but the government is not making money, right, through the prop firm with tax, then that's another issue. So yeah, so I guess they got to go for the big dogs then, right? So they got to go for the source, right? So they don't care about going for the prop firm. They care about going for the big dogs. It could be a larger prop firm that they're aiming for initially, or they tackle the source, right? So for example, prop firms are making money, but what source are they using, right, to get through, right? The brokers, the third-party brokers, which are probably non-regulated or unregulated in the U.S., so they're going to go for those. Or they can even tackle the exact source, beyond the broker, right, which is the platform that they use, right? And as you go to the end source, you'll see that's very limited, right? So the platforms that traders can trade on, trade Forex on, there's very few of them out there, right? So MetaCoats is certainly, the iconic platform for any Forex trader out there. And the CFTC and, so forth, they know and understand that, and they attack the source. And now, if that happens, then of course MetaCoats is going to have to take action. The third-party brokers are going to have to take action and leave U.S. clients and so forth. So right now, what was going on was they weren't taking, a lot of prop firms weren't taking new U.S. clients, but existing U.S. clients they were taking, the prop firms were still continuing with them because they couldn't just refund them. It could have been a trader in their funded account trading, so they couldn't just let them go. But the U.S. still had an issue with that because they're still making money off them somehow, right? So it's a very big mess. But the U.S., again, Canada's a close second. The U.K., Australia, and so forth, they all come after the U.S. But the U.S. is taking this strict action, and this is why what's happening is happening. Whether you want to call, the CFTC or the SEC, them protecting U.S. clients, U.S. residents, U.S. citizens, or they want a piece of the pie as well, right? So if the clients, are complaining, right, traders, U.S. clients or U.S. traders are complaining, and the CFTC continues to hear those complaints over time, it builds up to a point where they have to take action, right? And on the other hand, again, prop firms that are based outside of the U.S., the government is not making any money out of it. So, they got to attack the source and they got to eliminate that. And even a bigger example is like Apple, for example. Apple, they have a lot of money stored outside of the U.S., right? Because somehow, some way, they have their headquarters outside of the U.S. And it's somewhere in the hundreds of billions now, the stash that they have. And if they bring that money back into the States, right, so they can use that money outside of the States, but if they use that money or bring that money, the cash, back into the States, then they're going to get double taxed, right? So that's why they keep the money out. And again, that money that they're making, the revenue that they're making outside of the U.S. is from clients outside of the U.S. Any money that they make through U.S. clients, right, through U.S. citizens and residents that live in the U.S., they are going to be taxed on that, right? The money that they're not being taxed on from the U.S. is the money that they make outside of the U.S. So prop firms, again, same thing. Although they can function in the States, but right now, again, it's such a big mess. We don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. But prop firms that are based outside of the U.S., their pretty much, they cannot make money from U.S. clients or U.S. residents because they're not, they're not kind of responsible to pay the government, the U.S. government, in any type of way. Because again, they're foreign, right? They don't live in the States. They don't have residency in the States, the prop firm owners, let's say. And they're only going to pay tax in which, locality they stay in, right? So I know if you guys are aware, a lot of these prop firm owners are stationed in Dubai. A lot of prop firms are also based in Dubai. So if Dubai has no tax and the prop firms are only liable to, the tax rate of the city or the country they live in, then they don't own anything to the States, right? To the U.S., let's say, for example. And so the U.S. can't make money from the prop firm, but the prop firm is making money from the U.S., client. Yeah, that's not going to sit well with them. Okay, is there any specific session you suggest I should trade in? Like, is New York session better or London session? So again, you're going to have to find your way, right? So it's the pair that you trade. It's also, well, it's a pair, indice, gold, or say metal, whatnot, Forex pair. You have to see in which session it moves, right? So first, again, you have to understand what strategy or system you're going to trade, understand which pairs move in which session, right? Certain pairs won't move as much, right? Less volume, less price action. You're not going to get much movement. And so you got to figure that out, which pairs you want to trade and which, those pairs, which sessions they move the most in. And then, of course, tying that with the system, right? Strategy in play. So I can only speak for myself. I figured out this range system, right? This range strategy. And it works well between London session and New York session. So between London to New York, it works really well, right? So price, I've seen normally it does range in that period of time, unless there's some news, some volatility kicking in. That's not normal, but nonetheless, I've seen, and again, we've been doing this for almost 6 months just on the live streams. So it's been going good, right? So the ranges are in effect between London session and New York session. And so I figured that out. I'm trading a pair that really moves well during London session into New York session, which is GJ. And of course, USDCAD as well, right? USDCAD, of course, moves in smaller ranges, but nonetheless, I can still capture that. And of course, the end all between the two pairs that I trade is the inverse correlation. Right, so as one pair moves bullish, the other pair may move bearish. Not all the time, but that's a correlation that has helped me immensely, right? And so even if a pair is not in a range, I can still use that pair for directional purposes to trade the pair that is in a range between the two. So again, a lot of different things that I've found out from my system and strategy that has helped me over the years and has, pretty much made me consistent and profitable. And again, even the small things, right? Trading one or two pairs, trading a single session, keeping it with the same time that I trade in, understanding which one's a small range versus a medium size versus a large range. So all these things have helped me over time to where I have brought the system, to this point. And again, I feel very confident with the system now. And again, for me, it's kind of getting on the chart 10, 15, 20 minutes. And, I can certainly see a setup during this period of time, right? So between London session and New York session. Alrighty, so we saw USDCAD move down here. Again, took some time here actually, right? So I still don't feel confident with this. It did get to the level here, but the fact that the hour is closing up here in less than 6 minutes, I'm going to wait out here. See what happens. Alrighty, so we got 4 minutes left. And again, USDCAD is pulling back into that range, as you can see, but I'm still not confident yet with this close here. It's too close to the bottom end of the range. It didn't give us a nice push here. It barely got to this level here, but I was looking for a stronger push, and the fact that the hour candle is still sticking here, that doesn't give me enough confidence for me to take the buys, right? Just not enough yet. Alrighty, what is discipline in your opinion? How many trades should someone take per day, per week? Again, that's all subjective, right? It really depends if you're, whether you're scalping, whether you're, a swing trader, position trading, whatever the case may be, right? It really depends. So you have to figure out what system you're going to trade first, right? You need to have a system or a strategy in mind, right? Not in mind. I mean, you really got to work, on the charts, give yourself more chart time, but also have a system that you can actually test out, right? So you need to learn a strategy or system. That's key, right? What are you looking on the charts? What are you looking at the candles for if you don't have a system in play? So first figure out, right? Find your way through YouTube and figure out a system that you think, right? Look at the videos, look at the instructional videos, look at some live streams and see which strategy makes sense to you, right? It has to click to you, right? It has to kind of give you that sense of a little bit, I guess to a certain degree, some sense of satisfaction that this is something that you can work with and you can build, and also take maybe some of the setups, right? As I mentioned, go ahead and find a live streamer that trades every single day and that actually shows you real setups and real active trade management, and try those setups on a demo account or free trial account so you don't lose any money, and see if it's working, right? If it's making sense, the system makes sense to you, the rules make sense to you, you see that the trader really knows what they're talking about, they're disciplined, right? Then that's something that you can stick with. And then to learn the system more, if they have more content, more free content, go for it. Or maybe attend the streams, and over time you'll be able to realize it. But there's certain, again, elements that can't be explained in every single stream, right? Until they actually present themselves, right? So every trade may be a different scenario, right? And so there's a lot of different cases in terms of how you need to maybe exit that trade in this time, or take that small loss, or cut it out, or hold on to that trade into the new 1 hour candle, and so forth. So there's a lot of different case scenarios that are presented, and therefore you will need to know to some degree a little bit more than that's what's shown on the live streams, right? At times. So if the mentorship, if there's a mentorship being offered or a course being offered, again, after enough experience watching the live streams and gaining value, let's say, from it, and taking some setups, right, for free, on a live account, personal account, or a free trial account, whatever the case may be, if you have that satisfaction in your mind that you know that this is working, and you're actually benefiting from it, then you could take that leap, right? A mentor is not always important here, but it can certainly help, right? I wish I had that. It would have been a huge shortcut for me, and not having to spend 5-6 years before and creating my own system, because it was a brutal thing, because I had to kind of start from scratch again and figure out a way where it's simple, it makes sense. I don't need all these indicators, all these algos and this and that. You don't need any of that, right? In fact, it may be a deterrent, and it won't let you fully apply yourself with using pure technicals, and limiting the amount of things that you need to add on to the chart. Keep it straight, simple, right? Nothing fancy. Trading is not fancy at times, right? It can be very boring, right? We may have to wait 4 hours for maybe 10 pips, 12 pips. We've done that. You may wait 4 hours and you may not have a single setup, right? But patience, again, is part of the game. But nonetheless, figure out your way, right? So I mentioned how you can figure out your way and shortcut, and I mean shortcut it in the sense that you could figure out a system through the method, through the hack, so-called hack that I presented, right? Figure it out, see how it is, watch a live streamer on a regular basis, see how the system is, get a good feel of the system. If you feel it's convenient for you, you understand it, you can apply it to to the charts on your own time, and to a certain degree have some success, then maybe that's something that you want to kind of deep dive in further, right? So keep following the streams, right? If they have webinars, if they have some other content, free content, consume as much as possible, and then when you're ready to take the next leap in terms of if they offer anything additional, since you already believe in them, you've watched them enough, you've done your own chart time with the system, right? And then you can level up here, right? So that's why, again, for me, I never really needed to open up a mentorship, but I understood that there's a huge demand for it, right? Even the course, when I started presenting my payouts, right, about 2 years ago, or less than 2 years ago, when I started presenting my payouts and so forth, I had a lot of interest, and a lot of viewers were asking me, can you please teach me? Can you please tell me how this and that? So that's where I kind of opened up a pre-order on a course, and then that's where it kind of fell into a course that I launched last year. And then beyond that, a lot of users were like, can you actually trade live as well? And that will help us. And then that's where I started YouTube live streams. And then I felt that, okay, if you want additional value, then we can continue on a longer live stream beyond the YouTube stream and take more setups. Right? So again, everything fell into another, and again, the demand was there. If the demand wasn't there, then for me, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be here. But if I can help out and we can all benefit, it could be a win-win scenario. Why not? Right? And again, with the advent of prop firms now, it's easier than ever. Right? I shouldn't say easy, but it's definitely more convenient than ever before, where you can grow. By purchasing a challenge, you can grow a small account, or purchase a 50K, 100K account, and even grow it to 1 to 2K payouts per month, right? 1 to 2%, and that could be something, right? And not having to spend more than $400 or $500 as initial capital, which you can get refunded if you do go ahead and pass phase 1 and phase 2 and so forth and get a payout. But there's so many different avenues now, and so many different prop firms, that if you're really into trading and you really feel like you can give in the time, right, you gotta do your time. If you can do your time on the charts, enough chart experience with a credible system, then I wouldn't wait too long, right, to level up. All right, so new 1 hour candle, 5 minutes in, no bottom wick. So you can see here, it closed off and opened up down here at the bottom end of the range. Way too tricky to take the long position here, even if it closed down here, let's say. It's too close of a call. As we could see the push down here. No bottom wick. I still see it coming down. And then, if it does come down, I'm looking to enter if it breaks down here. Right, but current candle again has no bottom wick. All right, nice pick. Went ahead and entered when price moved significantly away from the 20 MA at 135.313. Okay. So yeah, but for me, I've not entered this setup, right? So I should make sure you guys know that I will mention when I do enter the setup here. So I've not entered the setup because I still believe, since there's no bottom wick here and it closed at the bottom end of the range and the 1 hour EMA was right there, that it's going to make another push before making a reversal, if it does make a reversal here. But again, if it does not make a reversal and I enter the buy stops when the price moves down here, then I have enough space here, right, breathing room, before price has to get up here to tap me in. So if it doesn't come back down, it moves up here, and I've already entered at this level here, and it bounces up here and comes down, I've never got tapped in, so it's risk-free. Right, but this is not a setup that I've entered here, right? So I understand that it would have been in profit, but I've not entered this setup here. All right, so USDCAD is moving here. So again, the fact that it has no bottom wick here, I could not take the setup. So there's a 5 minute EMA here, so it may push up, tap the 5 minute EMA, and then come right back down. We'll see. Let me see how large this range is. It's about 10 pips. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right, there you go. There's a tap right there. Wow, what a push here from USDCAD. It may just go all the way here. So you can see here, I was waiting for it to tap this level here, cross this. It tapped it, but it did not cross it. So let's see how close this, because if it did push below this level here, maybe about, what would it be? About half a pip. So if it had crossed half a pip here, I would have been in this setup here. But again, could still see it come all the way back down here. Let's see. Again, the hour candle has no bottom wick. Oh, wow. What a clean push here. Again, new 5-minute candle has no bottom wick. Alrighty, I'm really sorry I'm asking so many questions. Is there any strategy I suggest as a beginner I should work on? Any person I should watch on YouTube? Right, so I mean, I can make a suggestion, but it's definitely going to be biased, right? Whoever I name, right? So that's your homework, right? So you need to do that homework. You need to go and scope the web and filter out, which streamers you think are not worth your time, right? Through watching a few streams and so forth, and see if they actually take setups or not. But that's your homework, right? I can't judge, for you, because I also don't have enough experience with a lot of streamers out there, right? Because when I was building my system and my strategy, there was not many streamers out there that were trading Forex live. There's a few, I believe Raja Banks, right? Wickstone Live was one of them, but that strategy never kind of sat well with me, so I could never really function with that. Another one is Don Vo, but again, same thing. Just didn't resonate with me. So, but there wasn't that many. In today's time, I know there's a lot of streamers out there. So that's your homework. Go ahead and sit down on the streams, whether it's an hour long, 2 hours long, 3 hours, whatever the case may be, on a regular basis. Give it a week, 2 weeks, and see for yourself if they're credible enough for you to, work along and maybe test out their system, right? And again, you can take setups on a free trial account or a demo account, so you don't lose any money, right? And then you can also back test their strategy or system on your own time and see if it fits well, and yeah, go for them. But that's your homework. You need to do that. I can't really make recommendations because, again, I don't watch other streamers, right? During my time, again, there was not many at all. So by the time I really, became consistent with the system, I just didn't have any time to, go elsewhere, right? So for me, I zone out every setup. Let's say on Twitter or on Instagram, there's a setup. For me, I just ghost myself from any setups here, because then I can't figure out my mistakes if I have more than one bias on a setup that I actually plan on taking, right? So I stick to my trade ideas. I stick to it. I cut out all the noise, and that's where I've seen I had the most success, right? And the biggest jump in my trading journey was when I cut out all the noise and figured out what my limitations in my system were, what my flaws were in my system, and how I can improve on those systems and adjust on those, through different data metrics that I was looking at. And that's how I figured out my way. All right, guys, I will be heading off to the Zoom stream alone if we don't get much movement out of USDCAD, because again, I do understand that USDCAD has been bouncing around in this 10-12 pip zone, right, for quite some time, and we may get that a lot of slow movement here, especially at this level right here. So yeah, around 12 pips or so. And so again, if I don't get much movement out of USDCAD in the next 5 minutes, then I will call it a stream on YouTube. We'll continue the rest on Zoom with the membership members. But on YouTube, I will call it a day if I don't get much movement in the next 5 minutes. If at the same time, if USDCAD pushes all the way, I will also close out the streaming here as well, because again, the setup that we're waiting for kind of, went all the way, right, before we could enter here, because it did not cross this level here. So half a pip away, if you made that move, would have been in the setup here all the way up here. But definitely, I mean, close call. The positive is that I didn't execute, right? But it did fulfill the range trade here, up to this level here, at least. Right? So, again, that would have been a great range trade. But missed out on it because, again, it did not cross this level here, which is what I was looking for. At least maybe half pip below this level here. It didn't give it to me, so I did not pursue it. And then the hour candle had no bottom wick here. Another red flag here for me to not enter. And so left that out as well. And I push all the way here. It may come back down, but then I'll really have to consider now the fact that it flew up all the way up here. Does it come back around, or does it continue dumping here, making a lower low before making that push back up? So about 4 minutes to go, guys. If I don't get much movement out of USDCAD, I will call it a YouTube stream and continue on Zoom with the membership members. So just in 4 minutes, if we don't get much movement. Yep, still stuck here. It's moving very slow here. So can't do much about that. Alrighty, 2 minutes left, and it's still pushing here. Still bullish here. Look at that. No bottom wick, however, with this 5 minute candle as well. Actually, it's a 3 minute candle. My apologies. There we go. See, the thing is, there's so many others suffering as well, right? And they have been suffering since my Forex funds. So there's that. Then came, what was it? I think True Forex funds recently, and then the funded engineer, and now funding pips. So there's just been so many traders suffering. And some of them, again, they're only, maybe their first challenge or only prop firm that they traded with was a prop firm that went down, right? Which is, again, really unfortunate. So, maybe, again, if it was my only account, I probably would have been, stressing as well. Maybe I'm not stressing because, I have other accounts and personal accounts as well. So that's why maybe it's, it's not kind of a mental toll on me. It doesn't have a mental toll on me, but I do understand, again, a lot of traders have, spent their hard-earned money. Not saying I haven't either, but, spending your hard-earned money for one challenge that you bought, and that prop firm goes down and you don't know what's going to happen next, right? And it's even more unfortunate that, let's say the prop firm doesn't come back for months, or, just like more of my Forex funds, then what's challenging is that if you paid through crypto, you may never see that money back. If you paid through a credit card or PayPal, let's say, you may be able to get that money back, right? But if you pay through crypto and the prop firm goes down and you have no idea when they're coming back online or ever, then that's unfortunate. So the challenge that I had bought, that I had passed, I purchased through crypto. And so if they go down and they never come back, then I guess I lost that money, right? But again, it doesn't affect me as much since I have other accounts that I trade on. And this was just a kind of me testing out funding pips. And that was my first 100K challenge that I've tested with them, and passed that. But let's see. It is what it is, right? You can't do much about it. You see what platform they get on, right? If they are able to convert all the data, the whole database of all the traders and all the information that they needed to secure from MetaQuotes, right, for all the MT5 accounts and MT4 accounts, and if they're able to, transfer that onto the new platform, if that's even possible, right? So that's another challenge. All right, guys, we did, pass the new 5-minute candle here. Again, it's still in a very small zone, and I see that it may move very slowly as well, maybe until New York opening. And so for now, guys, I will call it a stream here on YouTube. I am going to continue the stream on Zoom alone with the mentorship members. So for all the viewers on YouTube, I will call it a day here. We couldn't get the setup here. Unfortunately, it did not cross. If it did, even half a pip more would have been in the setup here, and most likely would have secured profits with a stop at break even, right? So that's all for today, guys. Again, appreciate everyone joining in. Safe trading as always. We'll be back here for tomorrow for the end of the week. And again, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.